Disc brake pads wear out, or sometimes they get contaminated. Either way, it's probably time to replace them because you want to stop, right? Yeah, stopping's good. Fortunately, it's super easy to do. I'm going to show you how to replace the pads on a SRAM or Shimano hydraulic disc brake, the most common disc brake you find on a bike sold at the Pro's Closet. And it'll probably help you with some other disc brake designs that are similar. So the first thing we want to do is take the wheels off the bike. This is easiest to do in a repair stand, but if you don't have one, don't worry, because there are other ways to support the bike. Hopefully you can improvise something. To remove your old pads, the first thing you need to do is remove the retaining pin. This pin is actually what holds your brake pads in place in your caliper. It's usually a screw type pin that you unscrew to remove. At the end, there's often a retaining clip. Just remove this with a pair of needle nose pliers first, and then unscrew the pin. For SRAM, you'll usually need a 2.5mm hex wrench. For Shimano, it's either a 3mm hex wrench or a flathead screwdriver. Once the retaining pin is out, you can pull the pads and the spring straight out of the top of the caliper. Now, we usually replace pads when they're about 50% worn. It's because once they're halfway worn, the lever throw gets really long and we want to keep things nice and tight. Now, before we install the new pads, the first thing we need to do is reset the brake pistons. You'll notice here the pistons are kind of poking out, and what we want to do is push them back in so they're flush with the body of the caliper. The reason we want to do this is because your new pads are going to be thicker, so we need to make some extra space. This is actually the same thing you need to do if you ever accidentally squeeze your brake lever with your wheel off the bike. You got to push those pistons back. There are actual tools designed for pushing pistons back, like this disc brake pad spreader. But at home, I like to use a basic plastic tire lever, something every cyclist should have. Now make sure it's clean. I wipe this one off with some rubbing alcohol and use it to gently push the pistons back into the caliper. What you want to do is try to push the piston as straight as possible so you don't mess up the seal. But if you need to, you can use the actual body of the caliper for some extra leverage. Now make sure when you're handling the pads, try not to touch the actual brake material with your hands. You don't want the oils from your skin contaminating the brake pad. Put the brake pads and the spring together, and slide them back into the caliper. If you need to, reference your other caliper to make sure they go in the right way. Then install your retaining pin. And then if you have a retaining pin clip, install that as well. Once the pads are in, you can reinstall your wheel. We're gonna pump the brake lever until the pads contact the rotor. There we go. And give the wheel a spin. If there's no rub, you're done. If there is a little rub, well, we got a video addressing how to fix that, so make sure you check that out. I hope that helped you get some new pads in your bike. Now you can go out and ride and stop and ride and stop and ride and stop and ride and stop over and over. You can do as much as you want because you've got brand new pads. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.